The Rays have no option but to exercise Taylor Walls' option.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Rays podcast. Locked On Rays is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we are Kevin and Ulises.
And we are lifelong Tampa Bay Rays fans who have been podcasting about the Tampa Bay Rays since 2019.
Later on today's show, Tampa's own Gary Sheffield may be Hall of Fame bound. In a few minutes, the Rays no longer have the front office advantage they used to. But to start, the Rays must make a point to keep current players happy.
And we're going to talk about all of that thanks to FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app because new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. Kevin, keeping players happy should be a priority for the incoming ownership. We got a mailbag episode, and let's start with this question from I Know Ball and a bunch of numbers I'm not going to read out. They say, will the Rays pick up Taylor Walls' option for 2026? Let's remember Taylor Walls underwent surgery in early September for a sports hernia. They have to decide by Thursday whether to pick up the option to pay Taylor $2.45 million for 2026 or pay him the cheapest buyout we've ever seen in baseball history of $50,000 and then go through the arbitration process, which he right now is projected to make $2 million. So almost around $450,000 less than what is the option. Either way, he's under contract until 2027. But Kevin, it does seem to me that slashing prices here for $400,000 is not the right kind of feel that the new ownership wants to introduce themselves to the whole team.
Yeah, that would be a bad start, I feel like. That would get you off on the wrong foot. I mean, that's something that we complained about the previous ownership with. And not saying that this new ownership group is going to spin like Steve Cohen and Steinbrenner and, all the names out there. But I think they can do a little bit more and be a little bit better in these types of, I don't want to say minuscule, but it would go a long way, I think, towards the organizational culture and keeping players happy and upbeat. If you just say, yeah, we're not going to go through the nonsense of paying a buyout and then renegotiating through arbitration to save $400,000 on Taylor Walls. And if we want to look at it another way, I mean, yes, you might say Taylor Walls, $2.45 million. If you look at his WAR and just his WAR and the value he provides defensively, he's probably worth a lot more than that. So at the end of the day, you're still essentially coming out ahead by paying him $2.45 million. So I think it would be frankly ridiculous if they went through this song and dance to possibly save a couple $100,000, which may not even be guaranteed if you were to go through the arbitration process, because you could have an arbiter or arbiters that say, oh, you got a Gold Glove nomination. You can argue back and forth, and maybe he winds up getting a little bit more than $2 million. So I think it is obvious and has to be done that you just pay the man what he's due this season. And maybe it would be different if in a different world we had a healthy Ha-Seong Kim and he popped off last season. But right now we're kind of, scraping the barrel for some help at shortstop. So there's really no choice but to keep Taylor Walls around, because Carson Williams, as he showed or didn't show in 2025, he's not quite there yet as an everyday major leaguer or an everyday shortstop. I mean, I think, he has the tools to be that and then some, but you can't.
I mean,
You can't start game one and expect to win a lot of games without having some Taylor Walls help mixed in there.
We can all be very excited about Carson Williams, and I think we all should be excited about Carson Williams and what he can do. But we also have to be living in the real world where we also saw a 42% strikeout rate for Carson Williams. So, yeah, he's not ready right now. So you do need to lean on a guy like Taylor Walls to play a chunk of the season. We know this already. He's going to be part of the team. I don't think it's in the greatest of plans if you're the new incoming ownership saying like, hey guys, we're going to be there and we're going to provide for you. And by the way, the guy that just got nominated for a Gold Glove and had to step in at a time where there was a chaos in that position because of extracurricular activities by number 5. That guy that has been showing you guys that defensive work is incredibly important, and he shows up every day really early to do defensive work. Yeah, that's the guy that has been there with you for 5 seasons. We're going to cut his pay. Like that just doesn't vibe well. And I know it's a business, but guess what? These two people that are on this podcast, they went to business school, peeps. And so we know a little bit about business, and we know that there's goodwill. Goodwill is a component of being a good business owner. You have to have that from your market, from the people that are going to buy it. So your employees need to like you, man. That clubhouse needs to be in a good mode. I think picking up the team option is more than an option. It should just be a must, really.
Yeah, just do it, really, at the end of the day. And players talk, agents talk, people in baseball talk. This would not send a very good message if you do something like we had discussed, because then maybe that player doesn't want to come to the Rays. If all else is equal and you say, well, if they're going to treat players like this just to save a couple bucks, like maybe I don't want to play for this organization at the end of the day.
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed for the new ownership. They still have the same pinch pennies mentality, and again, you can be savvy with your money without having to do these sorts of things to players that you're going to count on. But there's
you could make an argument that Taylor Walls could, and he very well could have a higher WAR than Carson Williams in 2026.
I think that's a really good over-under that we should ask people on the comment box. Who do you think will have a higher WAR in 2026, Carson Williams or Taylor Walls? But that's not the only mailbag question that we have for today's show. So from player options to market inefficiencies, let's discuss front office secrets next. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season. Whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both, there's no better time to jump in on the action, because if you haven't tried it yet, PrizePicks is the simplest way to play. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, guess what? Green Skittles go your way, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere PrizePicks operates. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Thank you for joining us at Locked On Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We have our second mailbag question of the day. It comes from @Joe R. Is this Joe Ryan, Kev?
Let's hope so. I have true faith and belief that it is the Joe Ryan.
At Joe R., who possibly is Joe Ryan, says, given the age of information and how every team has analytics departments with tons of information, has the market inefficiency the Rays were milking no longer there to do so? Well, Joe, thank you for writing to us. And I will say, very quirky way of saying that. Kevin, are they right?
Well, I still think they're one of the better run and smarter front offices in baseball, but I don't think there's as big of a gulf as there used to be when they were basically on the cutting edge of platoons and finding undervalued players and basically everything that started with the Stu Sternberg group and Joe Madden and thinking outside the box to get things done. I think part of it is you've had so many guys in the organization change hands to other organizations, coaches that have gone to different organizations, front office types that have gone to different organizations. Like, I mean, we can go on down the list of all the names that have gone elsewhere, but that institutional knowledge gets spread around and nothing is kept a secret anymore. And, it's
that's it. Nothing is secret anymore.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Nothing is secret anymore in MLB. Like, they have it all. It's just, what are you going to utilize and what are you going to maybe prioritize? But the secrets are gone. I mean,
right.
there's no differentiation. And with
we all have Savant now. We can go and look at some of the deeper analytics, and I know that the proprietary systems
even goes further than that.
Yeah, it goes further than that. But I would say a vast majority of organizations have given way to the old school mentality and are, hiring guys from MIT and Yale and all these places to, basically copycat what the Rays did for so long.
Yeah. And so when you look at the cross-pollination that has happened in the league with, Rays names, I mean, I will say them. Joe Madden, Dave Martinez, Rocco Baldelli, Derek Shelton, Matt Quadrado, Gabe Kapler, Blake Butera, who just got hired, Craig Albernes, who just got hired, Chaim Bloom, James Click, Peter Bendix, Farhan Zaidi, Kapler, Alex Anthopoulos. Like, you have names upon names upon names, and I've probably left a few that you guys can probably put on the comment box that had their beginnings with the Rays and now have spread their wings and gone elsewhere. So the fact of the matter is, yes, it's a little bit more difficult right now to get that extra 2% that they weren't, that nobody else was exploiting. The issue is, how do you combat that? Do you combat that by trying to get some more money with this new ownership? Or do you combat that by trying to maybe going back and say, you know what, instead of just 3 true outcome, maybe we should focus on getting speedy players. Maybe we should focus on guys like Chandler Simpson and Jake Mangum. I don't know. Maybe
it might be like you said. Yeah, it might be taking advantage of some of the rules changes and seeing if you can capitalize and maximize on that to some extent of, hey, maybe we don't need as great of a defensive backstop if, some of those tools are taken away from them, or the bases are bigger. Okay, so let's get some guys that can really run the bases. I just think that pretty much nothing is new anymore. Everything's been done. So I guess the Rays to some extent have to, try to, figure, I don't know what that thing is though, because it's all at our disposal in an instant. If I was to pinpoint something, it might be, can you become a better evaluator of talent in the draft or internationally? And then you can, find your Junior Caminero or Wander Franco or whatever it may be. Maybe it is, not necessarily on the field, but in talent acquisition and development, if there is some sort of mechanic in place for that. But, the Rays kind of in a way are a victim of their own success, where they had so much success and guys get poached elsewhere. And, that knowledge is spread around to some extent. Now, I will say, yeah, there's certainly organizations that, aren't doing, might not be on the cutting edge like so many other organizations are. I mean, I'm sure there's teams that aren't investing into research, analytics, and just R&D in general. And those are probably the teams that are, dead last in their division year in and year out. But I will say, I mean, if there's anything that underscores the way that the Rays are right now, we've got 2 consecutive losing seasons. I mean,
something is missing, right?
What are they showing that makes them ahead of the curve right now?
No, and so that's why we've talked about how 2026 we need to see some changes. We need to see some actual, like, tangible, oh, they're doing this differently, because you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results. That is the definition of insanity. I will say, though, I don't remember if it was Clint Frazier or Lance Lynn who said, I think it's either the White Sox or Anaheim, Colorado, that yeah, they are behind. But they're not the majority. Sure, there's franchises that are not really doing what they should be doing, but most of them are on the same page. It's just how they utilize their own proprietary databases and what they want as a culture for their franchises. But the information is there. So it's going to be a little bit more tough for the Rays to succeed in this new age where everybody kind of has the same data points.
Right. The information is there. And actually, just one other footnote on that. A couple years ago, we had baseball scout Kevin Goldstein on the program. And I recall we asked him about what that next frontier is. And it's injury prevention and health. And I mean, based on, all the injuries that the Rays have dealt with in recent years, and I guess pitchers in general across the league, maybe that is the focal point of is there a way to determine if a guy is going to get hurt a lot? And is there a way to determine or prevent injury going forward once he's in your club?
By the way, that was a really entertaining interview. If you guys haven't seen it yet with Kevin Goldstein, it was years and years and years ago. I think it was like after the pandemic, basically.
COVID times.
So we were much younger looking, much happier, and you guys can definitely have some fun watching that. But up next, Tampa has baseball lore, but Hall of Fame is a different feel for Tampa's own Gary Sheffield. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. And you know what? You can always use them as green Skittles on FanDuel. That's always a lot of fun. And right now, FanDuel is giving you customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. You heard that right. $300 in bonus bets to new customers when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com right now to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you so much for joining us at Locked On Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We have our third and last mailbag question from Chris Damon, who might be related to Johnny Damon or Matt Damon. We don't know.
Why not both?
Why not both? Chris says, will Hillsborough High School's own Gary Sheffield get elected to the Hall of Fame through the contemporary era ballot? For those that don't know, Gary Sheffield is on that contemporary ballot where players from 1980 and after are basically put in the pool and said, hey, are these guys Hall of Famers? And there's names like Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Carlos Delgado, Jeff Kent, Don Mattingly, Dale Murphy, Fernando Valenzuela. On the ballot, Kevin, do you think Gary Sheffield can follow Tampa native Fred McGriff's induction in 2022?
I think he could and should. And if that happens, he would definitely cement himself into legendary status for people from Tampa, just like Fred McGriff. But I got to say, that is quite the list
I know.
of ballot names. I mean, one after another after another. Steroid allegations aside, that's a pretty darn talented group, if I may say so myself. And Gary Sheffield is certainly a talented member of baseball. And here's the thing, like, he got so close to the 75% needed in the regular BBWAA ballot. I mean, 64% where he needed 75%. So I would think I'd have to go back and look at what some of the other names that we mentioned got, but he's about the closest thing to getting into the Hall of Fame, but not getting that opportunity. So I think that's where the contemporary era ballot can work to his favor. And the track record, I mean, the track record speaks for itself. I guess the question is, where do you stand on the performance enhancing situation? Where do you stand on the character clause situation? But I mean, as far as the all-star appearances, the MVP finishes, the number of home runs, the fact that, not saying it's worth a lot, but maybe the most legendary or one of the most legendary batting stances of all time. I mean, when you say Gary Sheffield, I say, yeah, he's probably a Hall of Fame.
I mean, it's iconic. That's the word. It's iconic. His batting stance, everybody wanted to imitate it when we were playing. I think he's got the resume, man. A 9-time All-Star, 6-time top 10 MVP finisher, 509 home runs. He's got a World Series ring with the Florida Marlins in 1997. Yeah. I don't know how much more you need from him. Now, I do understand the allegations and the name that he was in that Balco, list, or the Mitchell report, rather. The Mitchell report. Yeah. Who wasn't, right? But the point is, I don't know. This is how I see it. I don't know if we agree on this, but as I see it is, if you didn't fail a drug test, you're eligible. Because, like, if you didn't fail a drug test, that means there wasn't testing to be done. So I know that this might, upset people that are really against steroids, and they say Barry Bonds should not be allowed, and Roger Clemens should not be allowed, and all that. And I understand where you guys are coming from. I'm just saying that from my point of view, from my lens, it wasn't illegal. It wasn't something that the MLB was basically turning a blind eye, if not pushing for it.
Yeah, they might have been enabling it. I mean, look at some of those home run dirt. Look at where baseball was in the stratosphere, because people had heads the size of watermelons and
Kevin,
massive biceps, and could hit home runs 500 feet on a whim.
What was the marketing of MLB during that time? Do you remember?
Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds.
Do you remember the tagline? Do you remember the tagline?
You're gonna have to remind me.
I feel like it was "Chicks Dig the Long Ball."
Yeah. I mean, that was definitely one of the taglines.
Come on, if that's not pushing for it instead of turning a blind on it. I mean, so that's how I see it. I mean, I think these guys definitely deserve it. Gary Sheffield will obviously become a Tampa legend, if not already one, to be on the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So, do we know when this? I don't know. I guess vote, or when the results will be made evident.
The 16-member panel, which is set by Hall of Fame players and writers and MLB executives, the vote is set for December 7th, which will be at the MLB winter meeting. So, in about 33 days, Kev.
Okay. Well, Gary Sheffield, send some cards, send some gift baskets, do whatever you have to do to get across the finish line. But I mean, like you said, never failed a drug test. And if we're going, it's tough because the steroid thing, it's always contentious.
It's a thing for everybody.
And
yes.
We can go back and forth, but at some point we just got to say that was the area, that was the period where this type of behavior or action was normalized, and you have to take it as such. So in with that, in the numbers that he put up in the steroid era still holds true that he would be a Hall of Famer. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So go Tampa Gary. Let's
Tampa Gary. Let's make it happen. 5 silver sluggers, by the way. Not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
After this episode, I'm gonna definitely go look up some Gary Sheffield batting stance highlights because that's something besides. And I kind of joked on it a little bit, but what do you do? What do you bring to the game that makes you memorable? It's one thing to, hit 500 plus homers, play 22 seasons, have all-stars, MVP finishes, win a World Series, silver sluggers, all this, all that. But he is iconic in
it's a museum,
a unique, certain way. Yes.
It's a museum. You have to, it's a museum to tell the story of baseball. If you find yourself at a moment in time where you're like, who defined this moment?
Yeah.
And they're it, and they have the numbers, then they should be in. And Gary Sheffield, tell the story about the 1997 Florida Marlins without Gary Sheffield. Yeah. You cannot.
I mean, I think he's more iconic than Jeff Kent. I think he's more iconic than Dale Murphy. I mean, there's a couple guys on the list. And
some people are certainly
guys on
at
this
you
list
right now.
I'm sorry?
Some people are screaming at you in the comments right now. How dare you say that about Jeff Kent, the most home runs for a second baseman ever?
I'm Team Gary here.
I'm Team Gary. Go Tampa.
On that note, go Tampa. Tampa always. On that note, we hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you later.